It's time to ditch the excuses. Get up, get out, and shut the f*** up. This is the Adjusting to Six Figures podcast.
And we're live with the next episode of the Adjustercast podcast. This is the podcast that is dedicated to all of our members over at the Claims Adjuster Success Network Facebook group. If you aren't a member already, go over there to the Claims Adjuster Success Network Facebook group. We're going to put the link to the group with this video wherever you're watching it. This is a podcast where we take a couple of the hot topic questions that new members have posed to me. If you are watching this right now and you're not a claims adjuster, you have no interest in becoming a claims adjuster or to know anything about what a claims adjuster does or how we operate, get ready because you are in for a really boring 30 minutes. Just go ahead and check out because this is not going to be interesting for you whatsoever, but maybe jump to the podcast right before this one. We had a really awesome guest, Ethan Brown, who hosts a hilarious podcast about environmental events, climate change and everything like that. We just recently did one with Rory Douglas about getting your finances in order, having financial literacy. He's got a bajillion followers all over the place. So we've got great podcasts that you can listen to instead of this one. But if you are a claims adjuster, then you're in for a real treat because I'm going to talk to you about some issues that we've been having, that some people have been having over at the Facebook group. If you're listening to this and you are a seasoned, experienced, actually, I don't even want to say that seasoned or experienced. I don't care if you're seasoned. You should never put salt and pepper on top of another human being. But even if you're experienced, that doesn't really matter to me because experience doesn't mean shit to me. What means a lot to me is whether or not you are successful. So if you're a successful claims adjuster, I'd like to talk to you. I'd like to have you on a podcast, on one of these Adjustercast podcasts, so everybody's not just listening to the same stuff that I'm spewing out. I want to get some other opinions. Just like my man Ethan Brown said in the last episode, you got to have an objective view. You got to have somebody that may not necessarily agree with you, somebody who's got a different perspective. And that's what I want to have. So if you are a successful, independent claims adjuster, get a hold of me. Go over to the Facebook group. Let me know in there. Go over to adjusteruniversity.com. Find a box or something where you can email us. I don't know. Get a hold of us. Send some smoke signals. I don't care what. But get over there and let me know that you think you could provide a little bit of value to some of our listeners on here. Be great to have somebody other than just myself doing these freaking things. So let's go through it. So we got a couple questions here we want to address. Queen with a K chimed in. She said that the biggest struggle that she's having right now is getting in with no experience. Getting in with no experience. This is a question that I'm asked constantly. I've made countless videos about it. I've expressed my opinion on it. I don't even know how many times. And I'm sure for as long as I'm doing this, I'm going to keep getting the struggle of getting in with no experience, getting past the experience requirement. And I call that requirement. So how do you start working as an independent insurance adjuster with no experience? First, you got to understand that no matter what, most likely an employer is going to look for somebody with experience. Think about it. If you are running a business, would you rather have somebody with experience or without experience? You don't always want to have somebody with experience. Occasionally, you're willing to take somebody with no experience. But what's the circumstances that would lead to somebody being willing to take somebody with no experience? Oftentimes, it's because they already understand that their pay is not consistent with the industry average. If it were consistent with the industry average, they would have very little benefit to actually bringing on somebody with no experience. Now, What a lot of people with no experience don't quite know is that one good thing about having no experience is that you don't have any bad habits. Just because you are experienced does not mean that you are better than everybody else that's out there. There are plenty of people in this industry, independent insurance adjusting, as well as other industries out there, that are experienced and they have tons and tons of bad habits. When you don't have experience, you give the company that you're working for an opportunity to mold you into the person that they want, for better or for worse. But that's what you get when you have no experience. Now, you have to accept poor pay? Most likely. If you're lucky, you don't. But here's what I say. If you're at a point and you have no experience, whether or not they're offering you good pay, bad pay, the problem is if you have no experience, you're not getting any offers. So instead of addressing this question in every which way you can get in with no experience, I'll just throw one tip out there. If you want to get in with an independent insurance adjusting company because you want to start working, you want to get something on your resume, you want to get more companies that you're working with, you want to start grossing those high numbers at the end of the year that are going to be comparable to any business out there, any small local business, and you want to make an income, a net income that's comparable to doctors, lawyers, all these positions that you got to go years and years of schooling for and spend tens of thousands of dollars to become, do me a favor, use this tip. Work for free. Work for free. It sounds counterproductive. Why would you work for free when you want to make the big bucks, when you want to make six figures and all that? You will make six figures, but right now your problem is that you have no experience, so you need to defeat that problem by any means necessary. And a good way to defeat that problem is to work for free. At least put it out there to the companies that are there. Let them know, hey, listen, I don't have any experience. You're right. But here's a guarantee that I'm going to make to you. I will not accept any pay unless you feel I deserve it. If you feel like I don't deserve it, if you had too much of an issue with me, if I didn't give you exactly what you were looking for in the way that you were looking for it, then don't pay me. I'll be happy to try again if you would let me. But I do not expect you to pay for inexperience and a product that is derived from somebody with no experience. I can get it done. You can even go as far as to tell them that you don't want to accept any pay whatsoever for even the first month. Handle 25 claims for them. I've never said that much. Handle 25 claims for a company, a number that you would normally make, pretty good money off of. Handle a bunch of claims for them. Are you going to come out of pocket for it? Absolutely. But then at the other end of that, guess what? You defeated the no experience hurdle, and now you're moving on to getting paid for those claims, and now you have a better opportunity to move up from there. You'll have more behind you to convince another company to start giving you claims as well, and that's what starts the wheel. That's what starts the wheels right there, moving towards filling up your schedule, like you've heard me say it before, battling against the white space on your calendar, because ultimately you want to fill up that calendar, right? You want to fill up that calendar with work, because that is how you're going to make the most amount of money, by just being booked every single day, hour by the hour. You're working like a mad person, and you're not going to get that when nobody is giving you claims. So you need to get those claims, and if handling some claims for free is a way to get those claims, then so be it. Do what you got to do. Come out of pocket for a month or two. You're still doing a better shot. You're still in a better position than most doctors and lawyers that are out there spending their money and going in student loan debt for years and years and years before they even see a dollar. You're in a way better position because you've invested comparatively nothing, right? And you're getting in a comparable, if not better, financial position. So another question is very similar to that. Darwin came in and said that his biggest struggle is just getting into the industry. And that's going to be similar. If you're just getting into the industry, it's going to be hard because it's unfamiliar to you. The things that we have to do are different from any other business that's out there. And the first thing you have to understand is that you are a business. You are a freelancer. Okay. You need to build up a base, a clientele. Sure, there are companies out there that are so big and they'll take anybody, the high level players. There are companies out there that will load you up and they want you to only take work from them. They want you to be bound by them. They want you to be so dependent on them that you don't even look for another company to work with. But I can't express to you how flawed that is. Do not ever only accept work from one company. That is a disaster waiting to happen. And not only that, but you don't get exposed to all the other pay rates that are out there. You want to be diversified across multiple different adjusting companies, because if one contract goes south, if your reputation goes south with one company, then you are caught with your pants down, my friend. You don't want to do that. You want multiple streams where you're taking money coming in. That way, no matter what, your calendar is always filled to the top. This episode of the Adjusting to Six Figures podcast has been brought to you by Adjuster University. If you've ever been in a car accident or a major medical procedure, then you've probably encountered a claims adjuster before, but probably never thought much of it. I know I didn't, until I found out that there was a little bit more to the job of a claims adjuster than what met my eye. Now, while there's claims adjusters that are salaried by the insurance carriers, those insurance carriers are also supported by a team of freelancers. These freelancers act as independent contractors that help the insurance carrier facilitate their claims to keep their customers happy. These freelancers are called independent adjusters. Independent adjusters don't work for the insurance carriers, they work for themselves. That means they get to set their own schedule and decide what type of work they want to do. Best of all, independent adjusters, especially the ones that are interested in traveling across the country, can earn over $250,000 a year as an independent insurance adjuster. This is not network marketing. This is not an affiliate program. There's no pyramid involved. This is just a super niche industry that few people actually know about. And this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. This is a get-rich over a long period of time combined with hard work and commitment. If you're looking for some easy way to make six figures a year or even over $250,000 a year without having to do much work or put in much effort, then this definitely isn't for you. But if you feel like you're a hard worker and you can get started running your own small business as an independent insurance adjuster, then this is the program for you. If this sounds like something that you're ready to commit to or even just learn a little bit more about, then head over to adjuster-university.com/get started to sign up to our next introductory class. Once again, that is adjuster-university.com/get started and sign up to a free introductory class so that you can learn more about this niche industry called independent insurance adjusting. Now, Yvette asked a question, and I was actually thinking about how I was going to answer this one, and I feel like I've got a pretty good one here. Yvette asked where she could find the best school to get her Texas All Lines license. Now, I'm going to admit, I haven't been to all of them. I've been a part of 2 programs, and I'm just going to tell you one program that I think you should get, and I'm going to explain why. First, let me preface it by saying this. You know me, I'm the founder of a training company, adjusteruniversity.com, adjuster-university.com. I would love for the opportunity to tell you to go to adjusteruniversity.com and take our Texas All Lines training course so I can take a couple $100 from you and give you some learning. But I don't have any of that. I don't know if we ever will have that, because as I've come to learn, they are very difficult to keep up on because every year it could potentially change. That being said, I'm going to tell you where you should go. I would recommend just going over to adjusterpro.com. That's adjusterpro.com. They are the leading place where you can get Texas All Lines. It's 100% digital. You could do it from home. It's self-paced. You can do your 40 hours minimum right on there. Now, of course, some people enjoy the in-person learning, but the way I feel about it is this: I'm not going to learn everything in 1 week. Personally, it took me a couple weeks to get through the whole thing. And the most beautiful part about it is that the exam portion is at home. You could do it from home. And for Texas, you don't need to go to a facility to have a camera put on you where the pressure's on. You could do it from home. And in case you're thinking about it right now, you're not supposed to do it with open book. The book's supposed to be closed, and you have to have someone attest to you not cheating. Could be a friend, could be a family member, could be your mom, could be your daughter, your son, but they have to sign off and say that you didn't cheat. So keep that in mind. All right, William said that his biggest struggle is Xactimate. And we just did this on the last podcast, and it's a big struggle. Xactimate is a big struggle. So just like before, I'm going to give you one tip right now on learning Xactimate. And this is a tip that I constantly have in my head when I give advice on Xactimate, but it's not something that I always say. And it's a term that I've really come to learn just doing jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and that's drilling. Drilling. What that is in jiu-jitsu, drilling is when you're rolling around on the mat and you're practicing a move, you're practicing a technique. It's just doing that technique over and over and over and over again, because as you do that, you start to build what's called muscle memory. It starts to get ingrained in your head. And you're kind of sloppy the first time you do it. You're figuring out, you're going very slow. You're going slow because you're learning the technique. You're learning how to do it right. And as you continue to do it over and over and over again, you start to get a little bit smoother. You start to be able to move your body a little bit faster because you're starting to understand exactly what's going on. That is exactly what you should do when you learn Xactimate. It's drilling. Now, of course, it's not Xactimate. You're not learning how to strangle another human being. You're learning an estimating software. You're learning Sketch. You're learning how to go through price lists and insert line items there. But what is the closest, I don't even know, the close example? What can you do, right? That's similar to that example. Man, you got to build houses in Sketch. Build your own house. That's the easiest thing. You live in an apartment, you live in a house, whatever the case is, measure out every single room and put it on there. And then once you're done measuring out every single room, rebuild every single room. And then once everything is all done and you got it all down, delete everything and do it again. Maybe build a fictional house. It doesn't matter what you're doing. The only thing that matters is that you're actually using the program. You're getting quicker with creating new rooms. You're getting quicker with adjusting different ceilings. You're getting quicker with looking for line items. That is the closest thing to drilling that you're going to get on there. And that is how you're going to learn to be faster. I can't tell you how many times I've said that to people before they go out on a deployment. Because when you go out on a deployment, what is going to make you those high level numbers? If you have no experience and you're out on a deployment, you have an opportunity to do really great, but you can also do very poorly. And that is dependent on how quick you are at the things that you have to do. Now, a lot of the things that you have to do you can certainly improve the timing behind it, but are far less technical. Your phone calls, your typing, your writing, that's not as technical. This is a very technical part, Xactimate. So drill. If you're listening to this and hurricane season is around the corner and you are not getting enough work to be confident with the speed, but enough confidence in your speed with Xactimate, you got to drill. Because the faster you are once that storm hits, the faster you're going to be able to return assignments. And as you know, the more assignments that you return, the more money that you're going to make. And even if it comes in to only even if it's a matter of just having enough time in the day to just do one more claim, if you're averaging $500 on that claim, then yes, that's an extra $500 on that day. But over that week, it's an extra $3,000. If you manage to squeeze that a month out of that deployment, then you're at $12,000. $12,000 just to spend a week or two just drilling in your spare time, drilling late at night, drilling super early in the morning, just going, just dedicating an hour or two every single day to it. If you dedicated, in that example, if you dedicated 1 hour of your day, which is nothing, let's say 2 hours of your day every day for an entire month, let's say that's 60 hours, right? Throughout an entire month pre-storm, you dedicated 2 hours to drilling Xactimate a day, and you spent 60 hours through that entire month. If those 60 hours allowed you to be efficient enough to do one more freaking claim a day, over that month, you'd make $12,000. If you're working a 6-day work week, 4 weeks out of the month, you'd have $12,000. And those 60 hours that you spent the month before, you might as well consider that like you're getting paid $200 an hour. These are just basic numbers, folks. $200 an hour. Sounds pretty appealing, right? So get to work on it. Drill, drill, drill. Okay. So we got 2 questions here. One, but the answer is pretty much the same for both of them, although they're slightly different. Pedro said that his biggest worry, his biggest struggle is how to get better paying deployments. And I've talked about this so much. Jeremy, same name as me, fantastic name. Jeremy said his biggest struggle was just getting his first deployment. So for Jeremy's question or struggle, getting the first deployment, some of that is obviously addressed with Queen's question. But I think by addressing Pedro's question, I think I do some to address Jeremy's. So let me sum up how to get better paying deployments. First, let's think about how do you subject yourself to getting a poor deployment, a poorly paying deployment? Let me tell you exactly how that gets done. You get a poor paying deployment because you don't have very many options, right? You don't have very many options to choose from, and you don't want to miss the deployment. I never think you should just miss a deployment. But maybe you only have one opportunity. One company reached out to you. Maybe 2 companies reached out to you. Maybe even you're lucky you got 3 companies that reached out to you. Those are just 3 different options right there. Now, what you don't know about those options, you don't know about the relationship between the independent adjusting company and the insurance company. You don't know where the storm is going to hit as it relates to where that independent adjusting company's clients, the insurance company, where they have their policies. They may not even, where the storm ends up hitting, they may not even have that many policies in that particular area. These are all things that you don't know. So of course, if you go with one company and it's unfortunate and that happens where the insurance company that they're working for, they just didn't have the brunt of their policies where in the affected area, then you're not going to get paid much. Maybe you get some claims, but it dries up pretty quick. And then you go to all your friends and tell them that, oh yeah, the storm just wasn't really that bad. Happens all the time. Another thing comes too, where the fee schedules that you were presented by those only few companies that reached out to you, they just weren't that good. Listen, there's a huge movement of people out there that think that fee schedules are going down. Inflation's going up. The cost of living is going up. The cost of doing business is going up, but adjuster pay is going down. It's crazy. And the only thing I can think of is that the people that are saying that are the people that limit themselves to a very, very small number of adjusting companies. So all they're exposed to are the fee schedules from those adjusting companies. That's the problem. What you want to do. So that's a general idea of how to get a poorly paying deployment. You don't have very many options and you only selecting pay out of a few people. And another big thing is that you deploy with one company. And I've said this over and over again. Never deploy with only one company. Just like I said a few moments ago, if you only receive claims from one company, then you are subject to that company's rise and fall. Never accept claims from only one company. Never go on deployment with only one company. Just don't do it. It's hard for some people to wrap their head around that, but that's just doing business. If I go down to a storm, I'm there to make money. I'm not there to gamble. I want the most chance to make a high dollar amount in my first month. Not only that, but I want the greatest chance to be able to stay there a second month. Now, there's so many factors that go involved in that happening, and that's outside of just the quality of service that you provide. Like I said, it's the relationship between the independent adjusting company and their insurance company. It's things like where the storm hit as it relates to the PIF count, to the policies that are in force for that adjusting company's client, for the insurance company. A lot of factors involved. Factors that you simply don't have control of. You have control over the quality of your work, but you don't have control over that stuff. So if you decide, I'm going to just deploy with one company, and you get down there, you'll only get claims for the amount of time that the insurance company has given that one particular company, adjusted company, claims. That's it. What if they dry up in a week? Well, nobody else will probably need you at that point because all the other IA firms are fully staffed up. They don't need you now. The only people that they'll call in at that point are going to be their own staff. You may get lucky, but you probably won't. I've gotten lucky before. But even who I am now, it's not easy for me. You always go down with multiple companies, and you always put yourself in a position where you're getting several offers to go down. If there is a storm, a hurricane that's about to hit land, I need to see 15, 20, 30 different fee schedules. And you sure as hell know, I'm going to look them over. I'm going to get a feel for what's going to be expected of me. Do I have to create the assignments manually? Are they going to be sent to me through exact analysis? How much work am I going to have to put behind these claims? And how much am I going to get paid for it? Because obviously, I want the least amount of work for the most amount of pay. And I'm going to negotiate that percentage too. I'm going to let them know, hey, I'm experienced. If you want somebody that's inexperienced, they'll probably take that 60%. But I'm experienced. I want a little bit more than that. I'm a 70% guy because you're not going to have any problems with me. I'm not going to leave you hanging. I'm not going to dip out without putting in my assignments. You're going to get people at 60%. They're going to dip out and not give you back your assignments. Happens every catastrophe. But you got to let them know that you're going to earn that 70%, that 75%. That's how you do that. That's how you get those better paying deployments. Now, the last question that I'm going to address here, and I feel like it's a really good one. It's a question really about ethics. The biggest struggle for Taylor is the challenge of balancing what is right versus what is expected. I mean, that is an ethical issue right there. Let me start off by saying this. If you know me, if you've been following me for a while, then hopefully by now I don't have to tell you that I am not team insurance. Now, I'm not a public adjuster or anything. I'm playing on the insurance carrier side. At least that's what I'm playing on today in terms of who ultimately pays me the money that I use to keep the lights on, right? I'm mostly, I'd say, on the insurance carrier's side, but I am not on their team. Guess whose team I'm on? I'm on team me. I'm on team my family. That's the team I'm on. Not on team insurance. And I'll tell you what else. I have personally, despite all the things that I know about the claims process, about insurance companies, I've had some awful, atrocious experiences with insurance companies. I just recently got through an awful experience with an insurance company for my homeowner's insurance. I had a supplement that I already had paid out of pocket, had a contractor I paid out of pocket just to get the work done because the work had to be done. But the insurance company lowballed me. And I looked over the estimate. The adjuster that came out, the adjuster was from Mississippi. And the adjuster did a terrible job. And as soon as I saw the estimate, I said, listen, I hate to be that guy to tell you that I'm an adjuster, but look at this estimate. this is everything, and I just outlined everything that was wrong. What they should have done was correct the estimate, because they admitted that it was wrong. They should have corrected the estimate and then sent out a supplemental payment, and then we go from there. But instead of doing that, they said, well, just get a contractor and then have us send us the contractor's estimate, and we'll work it as a supplement. Okay, sure. Well, I did that, and they wouldn't send the supplement out. And then eventually I paid for it because I got tired of waiting for them to figure it out. Then once I paid for it, guess what? Then they spent 2 to 3 months working on that supplement. And even as I'm recording this podcast right now, they just figured it out. So, and that was just my last claim. Before that, I had a theft claim where I was called a liar. I had a theft claim where I had left my truck in a parking garage that apparently has an issue with vehicles being broken into. I figured that out. But my vehicle was broken into. I woke up in the morning, went to my vehicle to get ready for work, to go run some claims, and I noticed my glove box was open. Stuff was scattered around everywhere. And I'm thinking, I don't remember being this messy. And I start poking around. I start realizing, wait a minute, this isn't right. And then I realize I've been broken into. And I think, oh, well, it doesn't look too bad. But then I realize I had a ton of media equipment, videos and stuff like that. I was hanging out with my daughters. I had a ton of media equipment that I usually never keep in my truck, but I did that the night before. And that was all gone. So contacted the police, went through the whole process. Police found a security camera of the person, the perp, carrying my stuff down a stairwell. Both hands loaded up, Christmas came early, and walking down the steps with the stuff. They arrested the guy. And the guy admitted, and this is what they told me after they interviewed me about what happened, showed me the picture, said, is that your stuff? And I said, yes. After the interview, they said that, yeah, we already arrested him. We've arrested him before. He has a long history of doing that. I'll be honest. He's going to go to jail. He's going to come right back out of jail. He's probably going to do it again. And in fact, he said that the detective said that he said that you guys at the parking garage need to stop leaving your doors unlocked. So anyway, I put in a insurance claim I had renter's insurance at that time. And I put in an insurance claim and I explained what happened. Long drawn out process for a very, very simple thing. I had a $10,000 limit on it. And it was just under that amount that the person had taken from it. So it was like $9,000. Now, over the course of something like 6 or 8 months, it was just one thing after the other. I had to provide tax returns. I had to provide, pay stubs. I had to give personal information. I had my ex, who I'm in an active suit court matter in. She was being repeatedly contacted by this insurance company so that she can give a recorded statement because I had went to her house the day before to pick up my kids or to drop my kids off. So it took 6 or 8 months. I did a recorded statement. And during that recorded statement, I was repeatedly, flat out called a liar. I was a liar and that my stuff wasn't stolen. I didn't know what to say at this. I had to contact an attorney. It was a nightmare. And eventually somebody who was a little bit smarter than the investigator and the claims adjuster for the insurance company, I won't say any names, but it rhymes with assurant. Somebody else came on and got it figured out in a week. And the kicker about the whole thing is that they issued a check for $10,000. and said that I had to hit my policy limits. I only had $9,000 worth of stuff taken. I reported $9,000 worth of stuff taken, but they sent me $10,000. Fine. The point I'm making here is this. Being on the insurance company side, it's very, very difficult to remain ethical at all times because your ethics may not exactly line up with company policy. You're told to do things that just don't make sense because you're told to do them from a person who probably does not fully understand the scope of what their responsibilities are. Realistically, if I submit a personal property inventory of items that were stolen, taken from a truck, and are no longer verifiable, they're gone, I can't fully document what every individual item that person had when they took them. He's got a bag. They're in a bag on his shoulder. The other stuff was in a case. You're kind of at my mercy at this point. So I'm ethically responsible, morally responsible for not committing insurance fraud. Now, on the flip side, on the other side of that coin, the insurance company is obligated to pay for a loss. Now, at that point, all of this had been done. The claim, the events surrounding the claim didn't progress at all. The way it was after that final interview with the detective, that's the way it stayed. But for some reason, they needed to find a motive for me to lie, as if finding a motive for me to lie would ensure that I was lying. And they spent months doing it. Thankfully, I had money, but I had to invest a lot of time in chasing that money. So it is definitely a challenge of balancing what's right versus what is expected. Now, I blabbed on this whole time to answer this question. Here's my suggestion. First, you know what is right. What is right is not the same as what is expected. I've worked with plenty of insurance companies, independent adjusting companies, who expected something that was not completely right. Not only that, I've worked with more insurance companies who, through the course of time, have altered their guidelines, that have altered their policies to the homeowner, not so much the actual policy itself, but what they do and don't pay for. I've been exposed to it a lot. And if you're an experienced independent insurance adjuster, you're going to be exposed to that as well. The question is whether or not you're going to continue to be exposed to the same thing. There are insurance companies out there right now that I just won't do business with. I could name them. Allstate. I do not work with Allstate. I'm not going to, on this podcast, tell you that Allstate is a good or bad insurance company. What I'm going to tell you right now is that they're an insurance company who I have worked with in the past, who I've spoken to others about in the past, claims adjusters and contractors. And based on those experiences, I choose not to work with them. American Strategic Insurance Company. That is another insurance company who I choose not to work for. And let me say this. I never had that many Allstate claims. I just never went down that path. American Strategic Insurance, if you're familiar with them, I've handled a lot of claims for American Strategic Insurance. And at a certain point, I was doing tons of them. Years ago, I was getting a very, very healthy, lucrative flow of claims with American Strategic Insurance. But as time progressed, things would change. The company changed and they started paying out less. They started making their field staff, people like me, do things to their estimate that I did not think were fair to the homeowner. And I tolerated it. I tolerated it because I was being paid for it. And I did that for quite some time. And then I stopped. And then I got an opportunity later to do a hail deployment for American Strategic Insurance. And then I figured, you know what? I drew a line. I stopped taking assignments from this insurance that came from this insurance company. But you know what? This is it's a hailstorm. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to be replacing roofs. At least the issues that I had before won't be prevalent when if there's damage, there's damage. If the roof is beat up from hail, it's beat up from hail. I can document that. I'll still be able to replace the roof. So no problem. There was a problem. Every estimate was scrutinized. I know what hail looks like. I've got a freaking website where I teach what hail looks like on shingles. I actually provide certifications to other adjusters. I put the material together. I got a HAG certification that expired a while ago. I've got thousands of hail claims under my belt. All of a sudden, what do you know? Every hail hit and almost what seemed to be every photo report I submitted, they're questioning whether or not that's hail. In an area that's undoubtedly affected by hail. No doubt, like quarter size hail, golf ball size hail. Some roofs were torn to bits. But everyone was questioned on whether or not it was actually hail. And then not only that, if there were 3 badly affected slopes and one slope had maybe 5 hits of hail, well, listen, you need to only replace the hail hits on the affected slope, all the shingles on the affected slopes, and you need to repair that one slope. Is that really how this repair process is going to go? You know that's not how it's going to go. So you know what happened? Now, I made decent money up until the point where I got fed up and I had enough and I got out of there. I made decent money. I think I made like $30,000. Made like $30,000 in 2 weeks or something like that. It was great money. It's hard to pass up that kind of money. But you know what? I'm just enabling bad policy. I provide a product that's great. I am fast with my work. I'm accurate with my work. I bring a good quality product to the independent adjusting company that I'm working with. But that product is being delivered to an insurance company. And that product is not being used the way it should be used. It's no longer accurate. It's no longer an estimate that I fully support. I'm just a person that's out there taking pictures and writing up an estimate for somebody in another state who's following a checklist or a cheat sheet that's got 6 months worth of experience behind them and they've never done hail before. Because why not? That's company policy. That's okay. And they're putting forth estimating guidelines with the intent to undervalue claims on the front end and pay out more on the back end if they have to, if the policyholder puts up that much of a fight. It's an all-state strategy right there, so I've heard. So when you face those companies that are ethically opposite to what you believe in, I say put your own ethics first and leave that company. Especially if you do a good product, especially if you have confidence in your ability to work. Do not let one of these companies that, at least in your opinion, aren't operating with the integrity that you believe that they should be operating at as a standard. If that's your opinion of the company, do not let them benefit from your great work product. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the podcast. If you're an independent adjuster, if you're into this stuff, man, join our Facebook group. Get into the Claims Adjuster Success Network. Be a part of it. Jump in there. We get people approved pretty quick. Introduce yourself. Let everybody know that you found this place from the podcast. Check out our YouTube channel, the Adjuster University YouTube channel, where this podcast in its full length will be published in case you're watching this, listening to this on Spotify, iTunes. Do us a favor too. I never asked this, but if you're listening on iTunes, give us 5 stars, man. Just jump us up a little bit. Show a little bit of support, okay? Because we don't get paid for this. I don't get paid for this podcast. So jump on there. Go check out adjusteruniversity.com. Check out the other episodes that we've got. And I love you guys. Take care, and I'll catch you on the next one.